Everyone, I believe we are streaming, but I'm having a bit of problems with the camera. So some of you are kind of up close on camera. I'm getting the quad view instead of the farther back full view. I'll keep working on that, but in the meantime, I think we are streaming. And it is 7:01, so we can call the meeting to order. And if everyone will please rise for the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with gratitude for this community, for Pike County, and for the people who serve it day in and day out. Lord, we recognize that leadership is not easy. The decisions made in this room affect families and businesses, schools, and lives across our county. So tonight, we ask for your wisdom to guide every conversation, every decision, and every vote. Guide these leaders' clarity when things feel complicated, but give them unity when there are differences. Help them to listen well, to speak with respect, and to seek what is right, not just what is easy. Father, remind all of us that we are on the same side. We all want safe communities, strong families, and a future that's better for the next generation. Help us work together, not against each other. We also ask for unity, for humility to admit when we're wrong, courage to do what is right, and integrity to follow through on what we say. Lord, we place this meeting in your hands. May everything that is said and done here tonight reflect fairness, wisdom, and a genuine care for the people of this county. As we leave this place later, may we continue to treat one another with kindness and respect, remembering that every person matters. We all ask all of this in the precious name of your Son and our Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. We pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the clerk will call the roll.
Amy Garner.
Here.
Joey Cox.
Here.
John Foster.
Here.
Rita Hoskins.
Here.
Lynn Skinner.
Here.
Tom Lewis.
Here.
Mark Knox.
Here.
Derek Ross.
Here.
Sue Shepherd.
Here, Madam Clerk.
Okay, item 4, approval of last month's regular meeting minutes. Catherine emailed those to everyone late this afternoon. Do I have a motion? Tom, second? Do I have a second? Don? Any discussion? Derek?
Madam Chairman, we just received the minutes today, or at least I did, and while going through them, at least on the finance side, I noticed that it has Mr. Ifner speaking under old business for the Pike County Health Department nurse, and then there was not enough nurse staffing. I remember that conversation at the finance meeting at that month, but I don't remember Mr. Ifner talking specifically about that. But more importantly, under the new business, it has finance meetings will be moved to the third Tuesday of the month at the government building at 6 p.m. I can almost assure you that didn't happen at last month's meeting because that just happened at this month's finance meeting. So I would respectfully request that the clerk's office watch the video again and make sure that all the rest of the minutes are accurate because it seems like this might have been put together a little haphazardly, and there might be some other stuff that's missing, but those are just two things that jumped out at me. So.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Motion carries. Item 5, approve the appointment of David Gay to the County Farmland Assessment Review Committee. Was that Mark? Okay. I was just going to say this is at Nicole's request. Andy, are you seconding?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Approve the appointment of James Sanderson to the Pike County Planning Commission to Pike County Zoning. This one and the next one are at the request of Greg Wyatt. Do I have a motion? Joey, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Number 7, approve the appointment of Jeff C. Hart to the Pike County Planning Commission for Pike County Zoning. Motion by Derek, second by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Approve appointment of Bradley D. Hart to the Rural Griggsville Fire Protection District for a term to begin March 1st, 2026 through April 30th, 2029. Don, did you want to say anything on this?
I just want to say that Brad is my nephew, and I will abstain from voting so that we don't get in any kind of a conflict, okay?
Motion by Mark, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Approve a resolution as trustee of the Pike County Taxing Districts to authorize the execution of a deed of conveyance of the county's interest in Pleasant Vale Township, permanent parcel number 5602501. Do I have a motion? Motion by Joey, second by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The next item, 10, was the sheriff's 6-month report. He sent this to me, and I can't remember who else, and I had agreed to get it to all of you, and I didn't do that. And then on top of that, he couldn't be here tonight, so unless there's any objection, I'm just going to table this for next time. And I will get you the report. He said it's the first time he's done one, and he looked up in statute what needed to be in it, so he did put together a lengthy report. Or not that lengthy, but as they go. So I will forward that to you for next meeting. And Natalie. Committee reports, item 11. Start with finance. Derek?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Finance Committee was called to order at 4:19 p.m. on April 15, 2026 at the Pike County Government Building. Committee members Don Foster and Derek Cross were present in person. Lance Kendrick was absent. Rita Hoskins, Natalie Roseberry, Scott Circle, Walker Filbert, Paula Dean, Kim Ader, Dave Ifner, Michael Burbridge, and others were also present in person. Under the 2025, 26, and 27 budget discussion, it was brought up that the sheriff and the overtime, he is aware of the situation, is working with the clerk's office to determine how payroll is tracked and in what lines. Under animal shelter budget was brought up and was recommended to have the Ag Committee review and to track that. Passed amendment for highway to accurately track payroll expenses in the MFT fund. Passed an amendment for highway to make a line item correction in the road and bridge fund. 2026-27 sheriff brought up a new contract for $57,000 in new revenue beginning maybe as soon as June. Under elected official salaries, Natalie Roseberry said she wanted to know what health insurance would be for elected officials. Another discussion, like the cost of living was brought up. Nicole asked what elected officials have part of their salaries reimbursed by the state. It is believed that only the sheriff, state's attorney, and assessor salaries get some type of reimbursement from the state. Natalie Roseberry gave a presentation on the fees of others. Under financial policy updates, that's still ongoing. Under update CIC Paycom payroll, Derek Ross said he had found a company that can do both payroll and accounting for the county for around $45,000. That should be a year. Under fund balances, the financial report from the treasurer stated the retirement fund is still low. Under old business, there was none. New business, the monthly finance meeting will be moved to the third Tuesday at 6 p.m. upstairs in the government building. Review and approval of monthly bills. Don Foster made a motion. Derek Ross seconded to pay bills in the amount of $126,852.38. The motion passed. Under public comments, Michael Burbridge asked if there would be any pushbacks on the possibility of a new payroll accounting system. The answer appears to be no, as long as it meets approval. David Nifter asked for detailed information on what has been spent on audits, accounting, to reconcile payroll and outside legal counsel. Adjournment, Don Foster made a motion and Derek Ross seconded to adjourn. The motion passed and the meeting adjourned at 6:08 p.m.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the finance minutes? Derek? Second by Joey. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay. Then under finance, do we have a motion to approve the First Amendment for the Highway Department budget? Derek? Second by Don. Any discussion?
This was talked about at the highway committee. They understood it. I mean, the personnel out there understood what was needed to correct it. It's not changing anything other than line items, right, Derek?
Right. And I apologize, I meant to get that sent for everybody to have in the packet, both the amendments and the spreadsheet themselves showing what line items are being changed were emailed late this afternoon, so you do have electronic copies of everything that you're voting on. Again, I just apologize we don't have the original here.
Does that have to be like a 2/3 or?
The personnel one would have to be.
What's that, Mark? I was wondering if it had to be, since it's amending the budget, it would have to be 2/3 vote.
It's not changing the number,
Yeah.
but it's taking it from one to the other, but I still would say, since it is a personnel line item, that it would have to pass with the 2/3 vote. So, we're not increasing what people are getting paid, it's just taking it and putting it in the right, line, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Do you need to roll call that so we know, well, it was unanimous, right? Okay. All right.
Then on the Second Amendment,
The second, the first one was personnel, and the second one would be, just a clarification that I had it in road and bridge, it should have been in transportation or vice versa. So it's just the highway department had preferred to have it in a different line because that's how they send their expenses in and stuff. So it's just a correction to the budget that I originally put together for December, and they noticed it after the fact, so it's just a line item transfer. So, and though we haven't had financial policies adopted yet, I'm trying to set a precedence of this is clean, you know, here, everybody, it's visual, once it's passed, then we can put it out on the website, so people will be able to say, here's the budget that was passed, and then here's the physical amendments that have went after that, so they can follow along. So it's just for transparency purposes that we're doing this, so.
okay. Do we have a motion on that one? Motion by Tom, second by Derek. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then the next item is discuss and possibly approve a resolution establishing the salaries of certain elected officials. And after the finance meeting and that this was discussed there, I drafted up a document that we can use for discussion and hopefully fill in some blanks tonight. I want to pass it around for each of you, and I also have attached to it the current resolution that we did 4 years ago that shows the salaries through this fiscal year.
And that has to be done by next month?
Yes. Can you guys just...
By June 1? Is that correct? Okay,
180 days before they take office.
so that'd be June-
It is, one act
June 1.
says, the county code just says at a meeting prior to the election. But then in the other act, it's 180 days prior to taking office. It's cited, both acts are cited in the resolution that I just gave you. Oh, I had a couple of extras. I meant one for Natalie, I'm sorry. And if there's enough,
I got one extra.
okay, I meant for Natalie to have one.
So we should do this next month.
As long as it's 180 days at the election third, so, yeah.
So this doesn't have to be done tonight, right?
It does not have to be done tonight. It can be done at the May meeting.
This is homework.
This is home.
Well, I wanted
We
to,
don't do nothing with it tonight, but finance can go through it, bring us a recommendation for next month's meeting. I mean, I don't want to sit here and hash this out tonight. I mean,
well, I'm afraid if we don't, we won't be able, I'm afraid if we don't, we won't be able to pass it in May. I mean, basically what we discussed at finance is no raises for the 4 years.
Also in finance, we need to get some numbers on the health insurance that they wanted to know.
Yeah.
And so I move that we table this till next month.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think this is something we need to sit here and quickly decide on something.
No, not tonight.
Let's look both resolutions. I mean,
Pretty easy, it's pretty easy for me. No raises, but it's whatever you guys want to do, if you want to think about it.
Well, again, we really, I mean, I don't know what happens if we don't follow the law, but
If we pass nothing in May, then it's no raises.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't, technically, if we don't give them a raise and we can't come to a conclusion, there would be zero.
it says back to the rate of solid right now.
Yeah, it would not continue the 1,000 a year or 1,200, whatever it may have been. It would be zero. You never said anything, it's what it is right now. So you have a fallback position if we can't come to a conclusion.
Right.
Madam Chair, was there an opinion from Walker on the circuit clerks? Wasn't there a question on
Oh,
that?
thank you, yeah. He's looking at that. Walker feels that the board made a mistake 4 years ago when it put the circuit clerk in this group, because the circuit clerk is not up for election this year. So he thinks they should have been on a different time period. So I've taken them out of this because we don't have to do the circuit clerks by May. That's not an issue for this year. I think Walker, I'm hoping that Walker will give us more advice next month, though, because I think we need to resolve whatever it is we need to do. The other item that's come up, Mark, is an issue with the sheriff. The sheriff is not in the last resolution because his salary is now based on what the state set. But then the issue came up about the coroner. And that's not exactly clear because the coroner is not elected. We appoint the coroner to whoever the sheriff is. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to do a separate resolution on the coroner issue that clears up the item for the sheriff. And again, I'm hoping we can come in with that in May. Another issue that Derek brought up to me since the finance meeting, and I didn't think of it, but the statute uses the term compensation. It's not just salary. We have to say what their compensation is. And typically, insurance is considered a part of compensation. So Derek was saying he thinks we need to formally set what the insurance is for the sheriff. Even though we don't have to, the salary is at this point beyond what we're doing, so.
If I may add to that, and I'm kind of disappointed that we're not going to discuss a little further, but I finding similar situation than this language that we found when we were going through the union contracts. Health insurance benefits will be provided to the county clerk and recorder, county treasurer, supervisor, and assessments equal to approved and resolved. Wait a minute, there must be something missing. But anyway, I don't know what equals.
And there is something missing. I deliberately left it missing.
Okay.
Because that's one of the things we need to decide.
Right.
Right now, the two qualified items we have are what people are receiving this year based for insurance and what the union for the ambulance will now be receiving.
Right.
So,
And the FOP amount could be different, and so I think we need to
Yes.
get a little more detailed in these languages to be specific on what it is that we're doing for everybody, instead of just being a vague, it's going to be health insurance is provided. That specifically was asked by our county clerk, well, how much are you going to provide, or what's it going to be at? And I think it's a legitimate question. Whatever we're doing for our elected officials doesn't necessarily mean what we have to do for the other people that are in the union or other people that don't have unions. So, but in order to know what we're doing, it needs to be in writing, it needs to be specifically spelled out. Secondly, one thing that came up on the stipends, we talked about the stipends at the finance meeting, and it was brought to the attention that the resolution says that we're paying the county clerk a stipend for either IMRF or risk management, but part of that stipend's actually being, or half of that stipend, my understand, is being paid to an employee. So I think the tongue-in-cheek response was, oh, back pay, because this is I feel a contract that we're obligated to pay our elected officials. But then I did find out and did get a confirmation from our state's attorney that though we're obligated to pay the elected officials whatever we agree to here, there's nothing precluding or stopping an elected official from giving up part of their salary or compensation to be paid to somebody else in their office, which I guess kind of makes sense if they're not going to be at the office or something's coming up and they decide that, well, I'm going to, have you handle this, and I'll go ahead and take a pay cut in order for you to do that so I could, you can get paid. That goes back to that proof of autonomy of once we set the budget, it would really be up to the elected official on if they would like to take part of their salary and pay another employee to do some duties that maybe that elected official isn't going to do. So that actually kind of made a lot of sense that Walker made that comment that, that's nothing, he could not find anywhere out there that stops an elected official from taking a pay cut and taking that money and giving it to an employee.
Derek, I will tell you that that segment is correct. That's half of what you're budgeting. The other half is not included in that. So that is my take-home salary. That's what has to be disclosed. So that is not split in half with anybody else.
So what's being paid to you in this contract is your stipend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But double the risk management, the insurance one there for a very, very long time that way. We couldn't find a whole lot.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's not changed. That is what the take home is of the county clerk.
Excellent. Then I wish that would have been brought up at finance instead of me making the comment tonight. So,
It's in your budget.
yeah, okay. So, anyway, then I stand corrected that apparently that's not being paid by half of it, but we still have the ruling from our legal counsel, Walker Filbert, that elected officials can apparently reduce their pay if they so choose in order to pay people in their office. So that was an interesting find. So, just wanted to bring that up.
Jim, Jim, how sure are you that if the board does not take action, then what is in place now continues?
If we don't set a salary, now, well, granted, it could theoretically, it's either what it is now or it goes to zero. That's your two options. I guess theoretically, if we're gonna say that we're paying them $60,000 a year, then it would go to, we've set no amount, so then it would be zero, so it's gotta be one of the two. Am I 100% now, because I only pretend to be a lawyer every now and then. But that would be my, but we can surely pass something, I don't know. I don't know what, and I would want to get an opinion from Walker myself as to whether the possibility of using the consumer price indexes can be written into one of these. Instead of a set dollar amount.
That's why I wanted to table it, Jim.
Yeah,
That was why I wanted to table it, because we don't have the information tonight.
No, but we need to clear up that insurance thing. Get some language in there that says
What?
something specific rather than the vague thing we got now, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure everyone understands, because the chance to discuss it, I was hoping would be tonight. I'm not necessarily expecting anybody to vote on it, but tonight's the chance to discuss it and get your ideas out there. I'll tell you, at finance, it felt to me, and I can't speak for the finance group, but it felt to me like the recommendation would be zero increases. Now, I will say Lance wasn't there, so he didn't get to chime in on that, but if folks are thinking about trying to include increases, then we need to think about our current deficit and where that money is going to come from. And that's an interesting idea about using some sort of index. But even if you can do that, it still doesn't answer the question of where would we get the money. So unless there's some other discussion, I'll move on to highway. Okay, Joey, you want to read the highway minutes?
Well, I got a question first.
Oh, Don, sorry.
I made a motion to
Hey,
table.
can you use the mic? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
I made a motion to table it. Do you need to continue on and ask for a second? Or do we just bypass it and go on?
Well, I don't know that we need to table it because we did discuss it.
Okay.
I mean, I think we can just continue the item to next month.
Okay.
Do people feel strongly when you, okay with that?
Yeah,
Don, you're okay with that?
yeah. Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
So
I
we'll
just-
just have it on the agenda again next month?
There you go.
Also, want to pass it with no raises. There's not much to discuss.
Yeah, but,
You could make a motion to pass it with no raises.
yeah, but we need that health insurance number.
Oh, yeah.
So my motion's gonna die for lack of a second. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, Joey,
Sorry, Joey.
highway?
The Road and Bridge Committee met Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 1:30 PM at the Pike County Highway Department facility located at 39643 260th Avenue, Building 4, Pittsfield, Illinois 62363. The meeting was called to order at 1:30 PM. Roll call, present were Joe Cobb, Don Foster, Andy Barman, and Rita Hoskins. Staff, Chris Johnson, Gary Locks, Michelle McCartney, and John McAllister. Public comment, none. Payment of claims, a motion was made by Andy Barman, seconded by Don Foster to pay claims per claim reports dated April 15th, 2026. All in favor, motion carried. Half aid to bridge closeouts, there were none. Flint Township Section 24-08106-08-BR Engineering Agreement for Historic Illinois Building Survey Report. A motion was made by Andy Barman, seconded by Don Foster to recommend the preliminary engineering services agreement supplement 1 with Hutchison Engineering in the amount of $24,890 to the full board for approval and chairman's signature. The historical structure is located on 470th Street over Flint Creek. The report is necessary to satisfy the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and State Historic Preservation Office permit requirements. All in favor, motion carried. New business, the gutter replacement by Peters Heating and Air on the Highway Department building is ongoing. Roof repair is to be completed by Mr. Oxley, but no specific start date has been set. A brief discussion on amending budget lines for the Road and Bridge Fund and MFT Fund was held. The amendments do not change the dollar amounts of the budgets or any operations and will be discussed in the Finance Committee meeting. Old business, none. Adjournment, a motion was made by Don Foster, seconded by Andy Barman to adjourn the meeting at 1:47 PM. All in favor, motion carried.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Andy? Second by Tom? Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Then under highway, we have a request for a motion to approve the preliminary engineering service agreement with Hutchinson Engineering for $24,890 for the survey of an historical structure located on 470th Street over Flint Creek. Do I have a motion? Tom? Second? Second by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Oh, Joey?
This was required by the state,
That's right, yes.
and Chris got this knocked down. What was the original amount, remember, Andy?
55,000.
Yeah, so Chris got it knocked down to this, so.
Yeah,
We did pretty good, I guess, on that. It's a gotta-do thing,
right.
so.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. GIS IT did not meet.
Yeah, we did not, but I needed to go back to something here. The county clerk just indicated to me that the salary and stipends are in the budget. And I'm looking here at, under the county clerk's office, and what is budgeted in the county clerk's office for salary is $60,416. That is what the salary for FY 2026 is. So therefore, it doesn't appear that any stipends are actually in the county clerk's office. And then when I go to administration under the county itself, there is no, unless I'm missing something here under risk management, that's blank. We didn't budget anything for a risk manager in administration. So if we're going to go by what the budget actually reads, it's not in the clerk's budget, and risk manager is not budgeted in the administration.
Have you checked for it?
That's where I was just getting ready to go to see if it is put there.
Should be there.
So the risk manager part would be under, so would IMRF, where would that be? Okay. So I will keep going then. But I just wanted to point out that the salary is the same salaries as here. So if there are stipends being paid, they're being paid from other places. So anyway,
So historically, Derek, they were in budget administration for IMRF and risk manager.
Okay.
So that's where they have always been put, we can't change the.
That's where they normally are at then?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where they've always been put, because they're administrative and they're different than the actual salary from the county clerk's office.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, we will come back to the GIS IT bills during the billboard report and the expenses at the end of the meeting. Um, Tom or Lance, who's going to do building and grounds?
You want me to read them?
I don't want to set them at the end. So.
Oh, you wouldn't steal no thunder from me. Building and Grounds Committee met, was called to order at 6:10 PM. Members present, Tom Lewis, Mark Mountain, Reed Hoskins, absent Lance Kendrick. Also present was Sheriff Greenwood, Walker Filbert, and Don Foster. Bills in the amount of $5,982.22 was approved by Mountain, seconded by Lewis, motion carried. Old business, State's Attorney Filbert stated that he was working on the paperwork for the East Hannibal properties. There was also a question on who was doing the work on the health department, and it was stated that Darren Workman would be doing be the contractor, and that Scott Bennett would be a subcontractor on some of the work. New business, there was one bid for the lawn care, and motion by Mountain and seconded was made to table until next meeting, seconded by Lewis, motion carried. Don Foster asked about a bill that was paid by the finance and wondering why it did not get paid by the building and grounds. Sheriff Greenwood stated that he wasn't for sure why it went to finance instead of building and grounds, but he stated he would look into it. Public comment, none. Adjournment, Mountain made a motion to adjourn. Seconded by Lewis, motion carried. The meeting is adjourned at 6:25 PM.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve building and grounds? Don, second by Joey. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
And I will say, I do believe there's a second bid, maybe for fertilizer. I got 2 bids, or Angie sent me an email about bids.
David only had one.
Only had one, okay. I'll look back for that.
We had a prior one, but it was before we asked for bids. So that might have been the second one that she was thinking, but
Okay.
we just kind of left it until next month to hopefully you be there and we can discuss it then.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Tom, public safety?
In the package here, guys, the public safety is wrong, that's February's. I'm gonna be reading the one off of my computer. The Public Safety Committee met at the ambulance building at 7 PM. Members present were Tom Lewis, Andy Barham, Jim Shepard, and Rita Hoskins. Also present were Casey Kendall and Sheriff Greenwood. Guest Casey Spitzer from Stryker Rep, is a Stryker Rep. Bills in the amount, I'm gonna start this one again. Bills, a motion by Barman and seconded by Shepard to pay bills in the amount of $46,334.82. Motion carried. Old business, none. New business, administrative report. Casey went over the run report that we had 221 calls, 911 911 calls for the month of March, and a total of 621 for the year. There were 48 transfer runs for the month. Personnel, we have 1 EMT out on workman's comp. Fleet, 3 George 16 is back from getting looked at due to a fuel issue. They replaced the fuel filters and is back in service. 3 George 15 had to have new batteries. PR, Casey attended a reverse career day at Bridgeville High School this month. EMR class is about halfway through with 14 students. Casey went over the fee schedule and compared it to Adams County's 2024 fee schedule. A motion was made by Barman and seconded by Shepard to increase our fee schedule to match Adams County's 2024 fee schedule. Motion carried. Casey discussed getting back into the GEMT program and looking into what it would take to get back into this program. The program starts again in October of 26 for 2027. Katie Spitzer from Stryker gave a demonstration on what equipment they can provide to the ambulance service. The LifePack 35 cardiac monitors were demonstrated. Our current monitors at the end of their service, there are several proposals looked at.
Shepherd made a motion to enter into a contract. The contract would be the fair market value, 7 annual payments of $48,099.40. The motion was seconded by Barman, the motion carried. Sheriff Greenwood was to discuss a new contractual agreement for police protection between the Sheriff's Department and the Village of Pleasant Hill. Shepherd wanted to add in section 5 the wording that it would be 56 hours per week. With this added, Shepherd made a motion to send this to the full board for approval, seconded by Barman, motion carried. Greenwood also discussed the intergovernmental school resource officer agreement. This is an existing agreement between Pleasant Hill, Western, and Griggsville Parish Schools. The agreement started in November of 2024 and expires in November of 2027. He just needs to finish getting all the signatures from all the parties involved. Barman made a motion to go into closed session concerning personnel. Motion was seconded by Shepherd. Motion carried. We went into closed session at 7:42 p.m. Back in open session at 7:52 on a motion by Shepherd, seconded by Barman. Motion carried. Barman made a motion to increase Jenna McAflesh salary from $23.01 to $24.26, which is $1.25 for her longevity pay for the year, financial year, December 1st, 2025, plus $150 for HSA. For 26, it increased by 2%, plus the longevity, plus the $150 HSA, and in fiscal year 2027, increased by 3%, plus longevity and the 150 HSA. The motion was seconded by Shepherd. Motion carried. Barman made a motion to increase Casey's salary by $5,000. Motion seconded by Shepherd. Motion carried. Casey then discussed the education officer that it is in his budget. He asked to increase it by $1,034, which would be the longevity pay for the person who would be getting hired for this position. This would put the salary for this position at $62,920. This position will not be hired for this position until June of this year. This means the cost of this position for this year will be $31,460. Excuse me. Shepherd made a motion to approve and increase and only have to pay for half of the year for this position. Motion seconded by Barman. Motion carried. Public comment, none. Adjournment motion to adjourn was made by Shepherd. Second by Barman. Motion carried. Meeting was adjourned at 7:55 p.m.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the public safety minutes? Motion by Tom, second by Derek. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Then we have several motions under public safety. The first being discuss and possibly approve an increase in ambulance fees.
When was the last time we had an increase? It's been a while.
We increase yearly, but what our increase is compared to what it should be is way off.
I think it's been 3 years since we adjusted the board. And I know Casey was here when the last time he did it, because he did a conference with Adams County Dental. But there's still a number of fees where half of what Adams County is.
Yeah, and I should have copied this out for you guys, but I didn't. This is just a comparison for you. An ALS transfer out of Adams County right now for 2024 is $1,037.17. We charge $929.81 for residents. Non-residents, Adams County is $1,555.75. We charge $1136.23. Basically, what we're wanting to do is go to 24. Adams County has increased for 25 and 26. We're just trying to get a little closer to what we're trying to get.
And just to clarify, if I remember correctly, the board previously passed a resolution that increases ambulance fees every year. And I think it was a 10-year plan.
Yeah, it was like a 10-year plan, and if I remember right, it was like 2 or 3%, which doesn't cover the cost of anything that we deal with out there right now.
Right. So I'm
You
thinking,
see the bills on what comes in for medical equipment and stuff, so.
right,
It's kind of, just trying to get us back in the ballpark of trying to get close to what we're.
We can-
Medicare will only pay certain amounts anyhow. Most of this is, private pay and private insurance. So,
that was one of the things I asked Casey for, is how often do private individuals pay? And he obtained a report from the billing agent, and it shows that each year about 6% of the total ambulance fees are paid by private individuals. Most of them are paid by Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. So it wouldn't have a lot, probably not a lot of impact on residents, but if you're one of the residents that gets impacted, I'm sure it would feel like, you would feel
like
it.
we've always said, Medicaid, Medicare is, they've got a set schedule on what they pay, so.
Yeah. But on that previous schedule, if we were to pass this, I think we need probably a resolution that would terminate the schedule that's in process.
And I don't think that will be an issue. I mean, we'll just, if we can get this approved tonight, then we can just, or we'll just proceed,
Yeah, we would just, this would overrule
overrule everything we
the
do.
previous resolution. But we would just have to go back and say that this, he can continue the 10-year plan if he's doing a percentage increase, but we would probably have to set something that says we're setting it off of the revised rates for going forward. It'd be cleaner.
And we can do that next month at public safety.
Well, you can,
But yeah, you won't be there.
yeah.
Do we have a sense that generally we would approve these rates that they're proposing? And we can make a copy of that sheet Tom has if anyone else wants it here. If we knew that we're okay with the rates, then we could come back next month with something formal
How long,
that puts it all together.
how long after we approve it till it goes into effect?
Immediately.
Immediately, or?
He would send it to the building company.
Yeah, the billing company would, he would send it to the billing company, they would put it in on that.
I mean, because next month's meeting's May 27th, so we could set it like effective June 1.
And like I said, as soon as he goes, as soon as it gets approved,
Yeah,
he would just contact our billing agent and
Okay.
they would take care of it.
okay. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Has Casey done any projections on what these rate increases actually would look like for revenue?
Rough ones, yeah, I mean, it's gonna cover some of the costs that we've lost with the, sales tax. It would cover the, increases in salaries and equipment, costs that have gone up.
I mean, it was kind of lumped up, but he felt that between this and the later, the talk about moving back into the GMT program would put us in a good shape as far as the salary, the union increases and make up some of the loss on the public safety. He was talking, I mean, it's gonna be in 6 digits, but, you know, it's kind of, it was rough.
Do we want to then leave it with Tom and Casey to draft a resolution for us then to vote on next month?
Yeah. You need a motion for that. Or
I don't think we need a motion if the,
just Tom and Casey needs to do it, okay? Bring it back to us next month. Okay.
So you want a resolution to increase to the 2024 with still including the 10-year program of whatever percentage we had discussed, increasing from this point forward. Is that what you wanted?
do you mind running it through?
When is the 10-year, what is the 10-year frame?
He had just set out what his increases were for the next 10 years. Four.
I mean, starting now?
Well, no, we started 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I want. We started 3 years ago.
3 years ago. And like I said, the 3% of whatever we're doing is not keeping,
No, okay.
and that's the thing.
That's what
We're just trying to get back in the ballpark of what other services are spending.
No, I didn't know whether the 10-year resolution was going to end
No,
soon.
no.
Okay.
It had to have been within the last 5 or 6 years, because I remember, I was here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we hired Casey in 21, so it hadn't been the last 5. And then his plan, he'd been here several months before he came up with this.
I'd like to see his projection too, of what he thought it would bring in. And, you know, to see if it would cover the possible pay increases and some equipment. And in my opinion, I like to table the next two till next month.
I can tell you right now, Mark, the money's there for Jenna's increase and Katie's increase. There's no doubt about it. No offense, but that's up to you guys and what you want to do. If you want to push this off, that's fine with me. But like I said, the money's there in ambulance services. But this is something that this is not going to in any way affect the services or anything that we do. But that's, like I said, that's from me seeing what the budget is and where we're at every month. Those two do not affect it at all. Even with the third one, which is the education officer, does not affect our budget anymore. But like I said, that's up to you guys on how you want to play that. I just know the committee approved them with no issues or no concerns. So,
Well, I mean, if we're kind of lumping these together, then I would say, because I would also go to the third one of the $336,000 of the 7 payments, unless I'm missing something, $48,000. Did we end up spending our $365,000 for capital outlay?
that's an ambulance.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is budgeted where for this year?
Oh, yeah, but they were talking,
This saves on,
but she was saying this payment would not be due right now.
no, it won't be due until next year.
We can actually, put this payment will be next.
This will be fiscal year. Next fiscal year, yeah.
So would you consider that in medical supplies or another capital outlay?
Capital outlays, it's
Okay.
equipment.
So then the second part of this is that, using Mr. Lewis's words from when we did this budget, when we did the half of the sales tax, that was going to bankrupt the ambulance.
Well, and you're right, and I did say that.
We have a $244,000 deficit on the current budget. I'm not saying that you guys don't have the cash. I know you've got the cash to do things, I'm concerned about, and you actually, if you're only going to pay half of the education officer, then that makes up what Casey's raise and what Jenna's raise would be. So even from a personnel standpoint, I can make that math work. What I'm concerned about is.
But I'm sorry, can I just interrupt for a minute?
Yeah,
Because moving this education officer to 6 months, it shouldn't be paying for Casey, any raises for Casey and Jenna, because that's one of the ways we paid for the raises we gave the union employees.
And it covered that plus some.
I mean, I think, my point is, I think we've already used the 6-month savings.
to help offset what the raises, well, I mean,
Yeah.
those fee increases are doing a heavy lift here between paying raises, paying this, paying that, and so I would be with Mr. Mountain. I'd like to see the numbers. I'd like Casey to, or even the billing company, they should be able to say, here's what we've billed in the past. If you would look over the last 2 years and we raised it at these fees, this is what you would have increased in revenue. I mean, it seems like it should be pretty easy to put on a spreadsheet and figure out what that would be. But, you know, my big concern is that we're starting out with a $244,000 deficit, and spending the $365,000 for that ambulance.
That 365 is in that 200.
It is. So that means that we don't have that 365 next year, which is a good thing. So hopefully we wouldn't have the deficit that we have. But we also don't have, unfortunately, I don't see that we're going to get that half of the sales tax back, because we didn't get the resolution passed here at the last election. So I just have a problem obligating the ambulance department to extra expenses without seeing the updated revenue numbers. And so that's where I would agree to table it, at least until we could see what those projections would be. And then also, if we're not doing an ambulance next year, then we would say, okay, there's $48,000. So that's going to be a savings of $320 on what we had in our budget. But we still have a deficit of 244. So that math will kind of work itself out, but then are we not on a schedule to try and get an ambulance every 2 years? So
3 year right now.
3 year, okay, so,
Because that's what, if we were going right now, it'd be 3 years.
okay. And Mr. Mountain and I think we've talked about this before, it would really be nice in my wish list of having a 3-year projection of the county. Yeah, as, you know, not just trying to live paycheck to paycheck here, but figure out what do we anticipate in the next 3 years and get some type of a plan together. And as long as we can make the math work, I think the public will go along with it. It's just where we just arbitrarily spend and then we don't have the offsetting revenue to prove. That's where I think we run into some problems. So I would just appreciate if Casey could talk to the building company and see what that increase in revenue is going to be. I know you guys have the cash, and absolutely, adamantly, Jenna and Casey do an excellent job out there, and I know the ambulance wouldn't be as successful as it is without them. So it's nothing against them or what they're doing. It just has to do with the numbers. So.
So it sounds like Tom's agreeable. Are we, under then public safety, we've got 6 items. The last one is the sheriff's department. So the first 5 items we're going to hold for next month's meeting?
Yeah.
And by then, we'll have more information from Casey and,
Just on the fifth one, just for clarification, when we say fair market value, the contract is for 7 years, and they would pay us fair market value on trades for the next ones. It's a little incoherent there, and we will have to buy a life pack within the next year because
Probably within the next 6 months.
we have one that is currently between 7 and 8 years old, and the maintenance contract is out on it, and basically
It can't.
it's clear, it's basically end of life.
These are 15s, or like that 15s that we have now?
Yes.
And the new one will be in excess of $48,000 payment, obviously.
So we're looking at buying 7 then? Is that kind of 1 a year type of thing?
No, it's actually we're buying,
Seven.
So there's 7 payments for five,
Five life packs. We paid out over 7 years. But that also includes maintenance and upkeep on the equipment, which we have budgeted now in our budget. So if that takes away from that budget line item, it just goes into that equipment line.
Then that would be a little less support, it would be less than 48 weeks to lease them.
That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And in 7 years, when these are at their life, we enter a new agreement, and it's the same thing. Instead of us having to buy 5 new life packs this year at $60,000, $65,000, we're spending $48,000 over 7. For 5. For 5.
So, and that's already in the budget, and that's figured in annually.
Yes. We figured in annually after, I mean,
and start in the 27 budget. if we're-
right, because we can order them now.
Right.
And take
With
it to
the option of taking them in
I-
December 1 of this year, but it'll be the 27th.
And with my age and stress, this is absolutely something I would want to have that you guys have on the rigs, so if some,
Like I said, we are at the point of, that all the ones we have are at that age. We took,
I think there's one,
there's one newer one.
there's one that's 4 because we used our money for it.
Yes, yes.
So it would have been bought in 20, good lord, it's been 5 years. It would have been bought in 20, I think 22.
But still, I mean, it's getting to its life cycle on that also.
should these start being staggered like the ambulances? Or is it really just you buy them all at once and they run out?
The big thing is with this contract and the striker doing this, they take care of the maintenance, and the upkeep, if something would happen,
Okay.
it's replaceable, it's all in the warning. Where the ones we have now, if something goes majorly wrong, they have to be updated, it's cost us.
Okay.
Even if, though, we have a contract with striker
No,
to
yeah,
maintain it,
but they won't after 7 years.
I know.
We've got at least one that is in possess of that, so
Yeah, they won't even touch it, it's just a,
if it goes down tomorrow, we're buying a new one. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that and I mean, we obviously have some time with it. The quote did not have a sunset clause, but I just want to make sure I got it out there that it's fair market value at the end of 7 years.
Okay, so all right to move on to item 6 under public safety?
if you want to table the first 5, yeah.
I'm sorry, Tom?
As long as you want to table the first 5, yes, you can move on to number 6.
I think that's what I'm hearing from everybody.
Or
Well, no, the ambulance increases.
we passed the fees, I thought. Or,
No.
no, we're doing the resolution.
No, we
Yep,
did-
okay.
We did none of the first 5.
Not really.
And I gave Natalie my sheet on the Adams County fees. She's gonna send them out tomorrow to everybody with other items. Thank you. Okay, item 6, discuss and possibly approve a contractual agreement between the county and the village of Pleasant Hill for police protection for the village by the sheriff's department. As Tom said when he read the minutes, the committee approved this. They asked for 2 changes. And I see from the copy Natalie's given me to sign that those changes were made. Jim had wanted to clarify the 56 hours, and I had asked, there was language in here before that said my heirs would be bound by this contract, so I wanted that out. And it's been taken out. So do I have a motion to approve this? This produces income for the county with this agreement, so.
How much?
Fifty.
$57,937. Monthly payments of $48.28. Plus we get a vehicle out the whole too.
Madam Chair? Yeah, I know there's a discussion, are you gonna do discussion on that before we talk about?
Well, I'd like to get a motion on the table first. If anything, I've got one from Andy.
Andy.
Second by Tom, okay, Tom. So discussion, Mark.
Does this $57,937, does that include our existing officers, or do we have to hire another?
It includes the officers.
David said he,
We do not have to hire another officer.
right.
So it's existing.
David said he already has one assigned to the southern part of the county, and they will loop this in.
Who wrote the contract? Was it Bill or David?
This is a general contract that we've had over the years. Used to have one with Griggsville, Barry, Bayless. It's basically the same contract over the years. They just changed names and dates.
How long's it for?
That's what I was thinking. Ending December 31st, 2029.
Yeah.
They have signature till the end of 2021.
Yeah, that's right, because I made the comment without changing it to 56 hours a week, all we have to do is do 14 hours a year. Good.
That's right.
Does the sheriff happen to say, I mean, 56, that's over overtime, it's over 40, so this will be split among numerous officers to try and keep the overtime down, or was that discussed?
I think they have
There's a primary.
primary one, but when he's not working, maybe a secondary officer.
Okay, so,
I mean, he's still gonna have to, patrol.
So if you take the 4828 number and multiply by 12, it doesn't come out to 57,937.
It's gonna have to,
I don't know. I just know that 2 times 8 is 16, so that'd be 6 on the end, not 7. Calculate it out.
well, I remember the sheriff in finance saying that he doesn't have to hire any additional staff, and I forgot the part that we get a car out of the deal, I guess. But I didn't think to ask him about overtime, if it would actually increase wages somehow.
it's off by one.
So,
Yeah, okay.
but if it's gonna be split among two, then it should increase.
It should increase the overtime. It won't be just one shift, it'll be maybe, they might be down there during the day, during the night. That part's up to the sheriff on how they implement that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Then, Derek, Economic and Community Development.
Yeah, I'm getting there. There's too many things open. Sorry. Okay. I did email this out to everyone, so you'll have an electronic copy of it. Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Economic and Community Development Committee met on Monday, April 27th of 2026 in the upper courtroom of the courthouse in Pittsfield. The meeting was called to order at 6:38 p.m. Present were Joey Cobb, Rita Hoskin, and Derek Ross. The committee approved the following grants totaling $9,395 as recommended by the Accommodation Tax Advisory Board. The funds came from the Accommodation Tax Fund. The motion to approve a grant to the Pike County Historical Society for marketing brochures and flyers for the historical venues. Total grant $520. Motion made by Joe Cobb, seconded by Rita Hoskins. Motion passed. A motion to approve a grant to the Western Illinois Fair Association for electrical service upgrade. Total grant $1,875, funded at 25% of the total project cost as a capital project per ordinance. Motion made by Joe Cobb, seconded by Rita Hoskins. Motion passed. A motion to approve a grant to the Heartland Lodge for a sporting clay event. Total grant $2,000, additional funds for previous grant application. It is 25% of the additional ask as a capital project per ordinance. Motion made by Joe Cobb, seconded by Rita Hoskins. Motion passed. And the final one was a motion to approve a grant to Heartland Lodge for a 3D archery tournament for marketing purposes. Total grant $5,000. Motion made by Joe Cobb, seconded by Rita Hoskins. Motion passed. There was no public comment. A motion to adjourn by Joe Cobb, seconded by Rita Hoskins. Motion passed, and the committee adjourned at 6:42 p.m.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Mark, second? Lance? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, we have 4 grants to approve. The first is the Pike County Historical Society for marketing brochures and flyers for historic venues in the amount of $520. Do I have a motion? Joey, Mark, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Second is the Western Illinois Fair Association and for an electrical services upgrade in the amount of $1,875. Have a motion? Derek, second by Mark. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Madam Chairman, I'm going to abstain from this vote due to the fact that I sat on that board.
Oh, all right. The third is Heartland Lodge for a sporting clay event. This is an additional $2,000 for a previous grant that was approved by the board. Do I have a motion? Mark, second by Andy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The fourth is to Heartland Lodge for a 3D archery tournament, $5,000 for marketing purposes. Motion by Mark, second by Andy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Were there any other committee reports? Okay, then on to item 12, new business. Derek, do you want to speak to the budget with the department heads?
Sure. I was hoping to have the department heads go ahead and, based off of the 2026 budget spreadsheets, they kind of have an idea of how things worked last year. If they would just go ahead and take those spreadsheets and just make a 2027 column, and let's go ahead and get started on what they would anticipate needing for the next fiscal year, so we can figure out where we're at. We're a third of the way into the year. Our treasurer sends out those summary reports at the end of every month, so they should be running at 33 1/3%. From what the budget last time, we of course had a deficit. So we hopefully are going to get some extra revenues from someplace, but if not, we are going to need to make some cuts. So once we can get from the departments what they anticipate they need for 2027, we can work on those expenses and start comparing that to what our anticipated revenues are. And then we can start meeting to work on the 2027 budget sooner than later. So.
Will you send a note out to the department heads tomorrow, maybe?
Sure, I can send an email out.
Just so, to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Any discussion on that anymore?
You bring up the last year's budget deficit. What exactly was the final amount on that? I know I've asked before, but I've never gotten an answer.
Well, that's somewhat of a moving target, because if you figure that we budgeted $250,000 in audits, We may not spend $250,000 in audit, so we don't know what that deficit would be.
No, well, I mean, I'm asking about 25. What was fiscal 25's deficit?
Oh, you're talking, so not where we're, what?
Yeah, you said last year's budget was a deficit, and I've never been told what that final number was. I'd asked 2 months ago, and because the last report I got from the treasurer's office showed a surplus of $191,000
In what?
in the general fund.
Okay. Well, I don't have a detailed answer for that, Mr. Shepherd. All I can say is that we had to borrow $500,000 so paychecks didn't bounce. So if you have to borrow $500,000, you have to have had some type of deficit between the revenues being generated and the expenses being paid. So my best guess is that we at least had a $500,000 deficit. But I do know that we found some extra money in fees of others, some other places there that we didn't have to borrow more. So I am not quite sure. We can ask the treasurer to see if we can try and run those numbers. But just from the mere fact that we had to borrow $500,000 from the tort fund in order to make sure that we met payroll, we were in a deficit between the revenues generated and the expenses paid. So, but I do not have an exact answer, except that I believe it must have been at least over $500,000. But that's the logical answer, not a mathematical one.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And just to clarify, the discussion you guys just had was about fiscal year 25,
Correct.
not our current year,
Right.
26, and what we're asking for from the department head's budget is next year,
For
27.
So yes, that is, trying to figure out what they anticipate their expenditures are going to be for 27. So we can get ahead of this earlier and hopefully get something ironed out. So I believe, and I think Mr. Shepherd may have agreed with this, I believe we had a revenue to expenditure deficit of $380,328. We originally had an $880. We paid back the $500,000 of debt from the CDs that we had from the highway department. So we won't have that debt again, hopefully. I don't believe that we'll have to borrow money again, knock on wood. But we still do have a $380,000 deficit between revenues anticipated and expenditures. We have gone over on some expenditures, but we are not quite at some other expenditures, like, for example, contingencies. We budgeted $150,000 for that, and to my knowledge, I don't know that we've actually used any of that yet. So, but it's a what if, so something can always come up. We have $250,000 budgeted for audits. I have my fingers crossed that we don't get near that either. So if that's the case, then the $380,000 deficit for this year may only be 100. I mean, so we just don't know until we get our bills in and we start putting it against what we've got. All budgeting is our best guess. So that's where we're at the moment.
Okay, so you will send a
An email.
A notice.
Yes.
to all department heads who might not be listening right now, asking for that.
Rita,
Yes, Andy, I'm sorry.
I would like to make a request that each board member get a copy of our bank statements for the end of April. When the bank statement comes out at the end of April, I'd like each board member to get a copy of those statements.
Scott, did you hear that? Yeah. Is that doable?
From every bank, yes.
Will you have them all? They all come to you? Okay.
Scott, to remind that, what, 70? How many bank accounts do we have? 73. 73, okay.
You get electronic copies of all those statements? Do what?
You get electronic copies for all those?
Well, I go from Eagle Valley or Central State or the Kansas Valley.
They probably don't have that many accounts, do they?
They don't count on each one.
Yeah.
Don't go for the collectors too. Collectors accounts too.
Just statements.
Well, I mean, for the collectors accounts, they don't do. Of course, there's 6 of them that are off right now, 0. They're closed out until we start collecting again.
We don't need those.
Okay. Okay. Then, under old business, I wanted to, this will be, the bill itself can be discussed more in finance next month. But we've talked before about CIC and payments to them. And I think at one point it was said we had paid $5,000 to CIC to help us resolve the communication between Paycom and CIC. And they didn't actually do any work. They just took the money. From what I understand, CIC did develop their part of a portal that could function between Paycom and CIC. And the agreement, which I signed, said that we would pay them half up front and half when they satisfactorily finish the work. We paid them the half up front. They've done their work, and they're now submitting the second bill to get the second half of the payment. My issue is until we try to send data from Paycom, we won't know for certain whether it works or not. And I would like to see if we can get the clerk's office and the treasurer's office to get Paycom and CIC talking to where we can transfer the journal entries or whatever you call them. I don't mean to get hung up on terminology, but to send that data so that we can determine whether this works or not.
So I can shine some light on that if you would like me to.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a matter of the data, it's a matter of the general ledger. So the way that CIC has our general ledger set up, so for example, your HSA payment, you have people in different departments get paid an HSA out of one fund, your health insurance fund. That has one line item. CIC had clearing accounts and funds set up internally for each one of those. So they had their own HSA payment for the highway department. They had their own for the health department. For me to do that, I would have to run a separate payroll for each different department to get those line items. So we're crossing funds. So until we get our GL cleaned up, you're never going to get data that comes in that drops it down to 0. So where we're at is I can skip that and we can go to a 0 transaction. But that means the treasurer's office is going to have to hand key in vouchers to show their transactions, and that's where the hang up has been. So that's why we're at the impasse, is because the way that our general ledger is set up.
So you don't think a conversation between Paycom and CIC could maybe help us get past that?
We've had them, well, I mean, I don't know about CIC, I've had them with Paycom. I mean, we've been at a standstill for 3 years because of the way that our general ledger is set up. And then we talked with CIC about it, it was, you're gonna have to rebuild your general ledger. And so when we had Whipley as our auditors, that was one of the things that we were working on, was totally rebuilding our general ledger. Because at this point, we have 70 pages of charts of accounts, it's just crazy, and we keep adding more. And we should have 12. So until we get that cleaned up, you're not gonna have clean data to put in. I can get data to put in, But it's gonna create more work for the treasurer's department to have to balance it, so that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it now. But if we wanna do it that way, I'm totally on board with doing it. You just have to let me know if that's how you wanna do it, and we can show the treasurer's office how to make those entries, but it's gonna be a lot of entries. It's gonna be entries for everything that crosses, IMRF, Social Security, HSA insurance, so all of those are gonna have to be hand keyed in every time they move money.
And Scott, do you agree with that?
No.
And let me just say, I'm questioning if we thought this was a waste of time and money, then why did we
I
do?
didn't say it was a waste of the time. I don't know why you guys did it. I have no idea.
The treasurer's office doesn't even have access to Paycom.
I know.
And, I've been in a discussion with our state's attorney, which you guys have all been included. I can't get a legal opinion from him for the question that I asked him. He's dodged around it, sidestepped it, so,
That's
Well-
your opinion.
Yeah.
That's your opinion that he's sidestepping.
yeah.
He's given you an opinion.
Has he given me an opinion on what her requirements are to fulfill her statute? He's given me one that requires mine.
Could we though, if we could, just try to stick to the issue we have between Paycom and CIC?
If the work hasn't been done to our satisfaction, then we don't have to pay anything, is that correct?
Yes, that's what the agreement says,
Yeah.
but until we try to transfer data, we can't know.
Yeah, and I agree, then we need to get together and try to transfer the data and see what happens.
Yes.
And if it doesn't hit right, we're not paying. I mean,
That's where we're at. It's not, when the last time I sent a file, the problem is you can't zero balance out each fund. Like, you have your highway department fund too, but it's pulling in from, let's say, Fund 11, and so you have an additional charge in there, and it's not gonna zero balance out, and CIC only does a zero balance on the total fund, not the total file. That's what I'm talking about, crossing funds. My total file will balance to zero. So your GL entries are gonna be zero. When you cross funds, they're not gonna zero out.
Well,
And that's where we're stuck.
so if we get them together and try to do the work that needs to be done, and they see that it's not zeroing out, then they'll know that it's not satisfactory.
They know, Liz knows it's not zeroing out. I mean, that was the last correspondence, she's like, you send it to me when it zeroes out, was the last email I got from her. I said, it's not going to zero out. Now, I can get it to zero out, but like I said, it's gonna create probably about 40 entries that the treasurer's office will have to make every payroll manually, and I feel like that's something that we're not willing to do.
I'd like to chime in here because Mr. Burbidge actually asked the question at the end of finance. I have OpenGov, I think it was, or I had another company that has a consolidated accounting and payroll system that DuPage County uses. And so the question was, well, do we think that that'll be a problem? And I think you had responded, as long as it doesn't do too much, or as long as it doesn't do it automatically. I think you had a concern about separation of duties.
Very much so.
And so with CIC, they did the payroll and the accounting. And at the time that we made the switch, was it because of separation of duties? Did you feel CIC didn't separate the duties correctly and that's why we switched? Or what was CIC doing wrong that we made the change to Paycom?
Well, we got hacked 3 times, and all of our county employees' public information got sold on the dark web. We were shut down for a month because they weren't secure, and then every time we were trying to upload files, we had glitches and we had issues. So to try to alleviate some of that, we decided to switch to an in-house server, which just exacerbated the problems. And the more that we were trying to understand what it was actually doing, we found errors. And then that's when I realized that it started to become an issue of separation of duties. But the biggest problem was the fact that it got hacked 3 times back to back, and we were shut down and couldn't do payroll for a whole month.
Then
That
why do we
was a
stay
big
with them as an
problem.
accounting software too?
Do what?
Then why do we stay as an accounting software
I
too?
have no
Why do we
idea.
just
I
get rid of the
wanted
whole
to
thing?
leave. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get rid of all of it, but that was not an option.
I don't think it's a good excuse that we've had 3 years and it's been the same problem for 3 years. Like that's kind of a,
It's been a problem longer than that.
well,
It's been a problem since 21, since we went to Paycom.
I do want to be careful too about what we say with some of these companies. I mean, my memory was CIC had a concern about the security because there had been some attempt at hacking, or maybe they had been hacked.
We had 3 full-blown hacks.
But they shut us down to prevent anything
Yeah.
from happening.
Only the last one.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't believe the situation was exactly the way you're describing it.
We lived it, trust me, it was exactly how I described it. We recorded it here, we lived it, it was bad.
well, regardless, in March of last year when I first started, that was one of the first things we did was get the contract with CIC and Paycom, and everybody was in agreement that if they would talk to each other and make the transfers, that it would work. And we've had a year to fix that problem. Haven't got anything. You've had, well, you said 3 years on the other problems.
So nobody's
So
looked
it's-
at the GL demands, that's what I've been saying since then, it's a GL problem.
Why not?
I don't know, that's kind of weird, you guys are the GL.
Had 3 years. I wouldn't.
I mean, I've been waiting for 8 years for financial policies. So there's just a lot of things. I mean, trust me, I think everybody does like to work, but the bigger problem is when you start automating things, you don't know how to account for them manually, you get into this problem. And I think taxpayers also deserve people that know how functions are actually working.
I get that, but everybody else does it, and they don't.
I don't think everybody else does it.
Well, 35 out of 108 counties.
102.
102. Currently use CIC's payroll and accounting
In
software.
Illinois?
Yeah,
Ooh, are you sure?
Yeah.
that's what we got confirmed from CIC.
Okay.
So, do you have information to the contrary?
I believe I do, yes.
Okay. I'd like to see that because I've definitely been proven wrong tonight on a couple things. So that's what I was told, that 35 out of the 102 counties currently use the payroll and accounting
I
software.
thought it was 35 in the United States, not Illinois, because they're in multiple states.
Okay, don't disagree with that. But irregardless, companies have things happen, they get hacked, and you try and fix the loops and you move on. I would have thought if it was such a serious situation, they would be out of business, and that doesn't seem to be the case. But my fear is that I didn't realize, that's a different narrative now, but I don't remember reading through the past minutes that we made a change because of issues that we had with CIC for hacking, and that it was more of what the capabilities of Paycom were going to be, time and attendance, a bunch of other stuff, and then things were going to work together. When I built a spreadsheet that I thought was going to answer the question and actually I just need you to fill in the information, that was too much information apparently that was done automatically, and so that didn't work. So my fear is that as I try and look for these companies that I think might be able to do everything, we apparently don't want to look at CIC again because they got hacked 3 years ago, and I'm just afraid.
I wouldn't put those words in my mouth, Derek. I apologize for that. But no, that's what you asked why we switched. I told you why we switched.
Okay. We switched because of
That's what started the dialogue of why we were switching payroll systems was because we could not issue payroll for 1 month and they got hacked. That is why we started looking at outside vendors.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I don't know that I'm going to have an answer, and I wasn't sure exactly how to move forward with even entertaining the talk of other vendors, because until this last meeting, I wasn't aware that there's a concern about software out there doing payroll and accounting, even though they already have counties as clients, that there is a separation of duty issue that I don't know if I can sit there and get a list of, well, they have 20 counties that they have in the state, if that will meet your standard of separation of duties, or if you will look at it and say, no, it still does too much automatically, and I don't agree with that.
Well, first of all, there's internal control. So, you know, we have full authority over what software we use, right? The board doesn't have any say over what software, like what we use in our office. So, what I had said when we were first discussing this about a year ago.
I just like to say I don't agree with that, by the way, but
That's what the Attorney General's office says. That's the
That's
opinion
fine.
from the AG's office, that we have full authority over the software that we use. So, having said that.
so you could just decide you're not going to use DevNet.
Yes, 100%.
And then we just, which
Yeah.
taxpayers would probably love this, but then we just couldn't get our tax bills out.
Well, I mean, you have to have a plan, because statutorily, we have to do the tax bill, so we have to have plan B. But yes, I could unilaterally say I don't want to use DevNet. But absolutely. So could Nicole, so could Scott, you know, they could all say that. But the thing is that you'll find in a lot of counties, that the county clerk does not have the same financial software as the treasurer because of the separation of duty factor. That's not uncommon, that's very common. And
Okay.
so, you know, having said that, I think it's up to everybody's preference of how hands-on they want to be. I prefer to be a little bit more hands-on, you know, but if Scott wants to bring financial software that he likes, I'm more than willing to look at it.
Before we talk about anything like that, I would just like to get back to the point at hand. We did this agreement. I thought we were all in agreement that we were going to try to develop something that would be a portal between Paycom and CIC, which is what we were all told when we approved going to Paycom to begin with, that there would be a way for the two systems to communicate. That would not be a problem. CIC has been working on it. They feel they've done all they can. I would like to reach out to Paycom and say, will you please work with them and let's try this. Let's see what they've done. I think as Jim or Andy said, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we'll know and we can not pay the second part. I don't think it's right to enter into an agreement with a vendor and then not give them their second payment because we won't even try it.
We have been trying it, Rita. I have been trying it consistently. I can't get to zero balance. I have said that. I've been saying that ever since we switched. I don't know why we can't understand that. We cannot get a zero balance file. Paycom recognizes a zero balance file on all transactions.
And that is CIC's fault.
Recognizes zero balance internally on each fund. That's your difference. It's the way they're set up. One's cash accrual, one's modified, whatever the accrual basis is. It's all different inside your funds. That's your problem. So, having said that, until we fix it, and I can get it to go. If you really want me to have an upload and that's what we are set on, I will have you an upload next week. But it will throw your financial books off so bad that Derek will be spending another 6 months trying to get the treasurer's office squared away. But I'll do it.
Have you ever contacted Paycom
About what?
to get the two together?
I'm the one that
To
put
discuss.
it. I'm the one that does all that. So no, Paycom's not, they're just the vehicle.
Paycom creates a CSV file for Adams County,
They just,
and they upload it into the treasurer's financial
Paycom's not
plan.
uploaded.
Yes, it is.
You should not have to be, the idea was that Paycom would develop, it should be electronic. You shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing anything manually in between.
I'm building an electronic file. That's what we're getting. It runs your GL based upon how your GL is set, and then we do our work, or tweaks and twerks to match it to CIC, how CIC wants the data to be imported. Paycom doesn't know our GL lines.
So I'd like to, so the GL has been the problem, and the GL actually is set when we do the budget, correct? I mean, you're talking about, so for the last 3 years that we've been doing the budget, why haven't we tried to correct the GL for each budget year to match what Paycom needs to do with CIC instead of continuing to do the same GL every year?
I wish you would. I wish the
Well,
county would.
I mean, until tonight, I didn't even realize that is exactly what we needed to
I've
fix.
been saying it for a year, Derek.
Not just like that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I hear word salad. I mean, I don't understand a lot of what you're trying to say with GL And what you're saying needs to be put into Paycom, and then Paycom has different HSAs. I mean, what you're doing right now are journal entries. You're doing journal entries into CIC based off of Paycom reports. I built a spreadsheet to where you could just fill those same journal entries into the spreadsheet, and we would upload that spreadsheet into CIC, and you wouldn't have to do anything about it. It would be ready to go. I had the line items mapped. Everything was ready. Until you said, but that's, I don't know. I again heard words, and it still didn't make any sense to me on why you couldn't put numbers in a spreadsheet that could be uploaded into CIC.
You mean until I agree with your way of doing it, you're not doing it? That's exactly what
No.
Having said that, Madam Chairman, if you want to go back to the original one, until you can get a zero balance on that file. But again, if all you're wanting is me to upload, I will upload.
We want it to work.
Yes.
Why?
No, you don't. It sounds like you're wanting it to fail.
That is terrible. Why would you want it to fail? We absolutely do.
I don't know, but you don't sound like you're trying to cooperate with this. How about if we could get a meeting with Paycom and CIC together and
How
talk?
about we get a meeting with Scott first? And we'll talk to Scott and we'll show both the file, Scott, and we can show you what the vouchers will need to be entered on your end once we upload and see if you guys will be willing to do that.
A lot of them aren't going to be entered on my end of it. I mean, it's just like the,
Would you be willing to meet with us?
it's like the IMRF.
Would you be
Those
willing-
checks are all cut from your office. You deposit them in from your office. The HSA payment goes out from your office. But yet there's no documentation in there on it at all. It shows zero.
Would you be willing to meet with us?
Yeah.
You would. How about tomorrow at 3 a.m.?
I don't care whether you meet or not, but I want to have a meeting with Paycom to see what they can send to CIC.
Yeah, I think we need something from
That-
PayPal and something from CIC.
That was the plan. You said before, if you decided to use DevNet, you'd have to have a plan B. Well, you didn't have a plan B when you stopped using
We've been
CIC.
doing our end. Our end is done. We're done. We're done. We're trying to help out.
It's not working.
It's not my fault.
Yes, it is. You implemented Paycom. You say it was all within your purview. You did it. It's not working. We're trying to fix it.
It's not working in one office. And
It's
that's
not
why-
working for any of us. That's why Andy's asking for the bank statements. It's not working for
The health department,
anybody.
it works great for the health department. It works great for the animal shelter. It works great for us. It's not working for your financial department. They're not making the entries. So no, I'm sorry. It's working great as it should for everybody else. It's one department.
Is that why we haven't had any audits?
That doesn't have anything to do
No,
with
The
it.
hell it don't, the hell it don't. Nothing balances. There's been no audits for 5 years.
Because the auditor walked out on us.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do
Because
with
of
it.
this.
Because of payroll.
It's because of that office.
Oh, that one. Okay. I didn't see a problem until she was elected.
It was a problem because they were having to reconcile the
It's
books.
gotten worse. But we're way off subject.
Yes.
But I need to clarify something real quick. So the CIC system that we have right now, we could do an upload, it's going to be messed up. The system that I built, I think would work, but we don't want to try the system I work because I want it and you don't. I just want to make clear what we've got going on here.
Like, it's segregation of duties. I cannot target your line item and move your money at the same time. You don't want the same person doing that. That's against the statutory segregation. So no. However, Derek, if that is what you think will fix it, we give the treasurer's office the reports every single payroll. They have the spreadsheet. They can enter all that if they want to.
Right. So the movement of money isn't when you fill numbers in a spreadsheet. The movement of money is when he walks over to the bank and does the wire transfer.
Movement of money is also internally moving it from a clearing account to your cash. That's movement.
But it's internally, and he still has the opportunity to stop it from happening. So he has oversight over that money.
Wow, we have a $26 million clearing account. We weren't stopping anything.
Where's that? I mean, where is that even applicable to what we're discussing at the moment? I'm talking about trying to get stuff loaded into the CIC system, and you're talking about $26 million sitting in some account. Fine, there's $26 million sitting in an account. I'm trying to fix a problem, and we keep bringing up a number. I'm trying to hear that it's what you want because you have the purview of what you decide to do, but the board has to, fiduciary is the wrong one. I think we have a statutory duty to make sure the numbers that the public see are transparent, and they are currently not transparent the way things are going. I thought I had a fix. We don't want to do my fix. There's a CIC fix, but that's going to mess the numbers up even worse. So I'm really not hearing a lot of working together and trying to get this resolved. We just continue to fight the same battle. And if it's actually fixing the GL, I will again ask, why was that not discussed even before myself with Mr. Shepherd and said, hey, let's fix these GL accounts so Paycom can read them correctly? Do you recall that ever being brought up to you and that you need to fix how that was done?
Probably with Natalie, yeah.
And Whitley told us that, our auditor
She's talked
said,
about
our
it,
GL needed to be cleaned up,
Okay.
yes.
But
So we can move on. I just wanted to.
But there's one thing, though, the board is not responsible for the finances of this county. The treasurer's office is. That's what you're missing. That's what you're missing. We have one elected person responsible for the finances of our county. One. That's just one. Solely.
From what I interpreted from our state's attorney, we are responsible for the audits, which is our depiction of what the financial
For
situation.
acquiring the audits. He also said below that the state, or that the treasurer's office is solely responsible for the numbers that get audited.
Okay.
before we hopefully move on from this, I'm just gonna say this. If we got something that works and puts the numbers where they're supposed to be, we can worry about the separation of duties later. And let's just get something that puts the numbers where they're supposed to be. That's all I think everybody here wants. And that's all I'm gonna say on that.
You're here. I
But
mean,
they've agreed to meet.
I don't think Paycom has been asked.
Paycom is not, they don't have anything to do with this. They have,
Yes, they do.
Rita, I work with them. They have nothing.
And you've made sure you're the only one that does.
No, Scott has access.
I don't have access to
I had
Paycom.
emails from 2 years ago where Scott said he didn't have access, so we gave him access, and I sent the email to him, and then he said he didn't want access. All of that is in writing. So yes, these are Groundhog Day discussions.
That's fine. Scott, everything is Scott's fault. The way things are in China is Scott's fault. I'll accept that. Just what I want a simple thing. I want to get Paycom and CIC together. Now that CIC has done their part of the bargain, I would like to get Paycom in a discussion with them and see if we can pull it together. I don't see why, if you're right and they have nothing to do with it, then they can both laugh at me. But I don't see why it's such a hard thing for us to try and do that.
I'm not using taxpayer dollars to schedule a meeting for Paycom to tell you that they are not building our GL for us. That's not what's happening.
Can we start with an email? Let's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to spend $1,000, just,
Yeah.
all she's asking for is,
Said.
what? Just what you said, what they've told you, because I'm sure you figured out a lot of them, but something from Paycom is telling you that it's not gonna work.
No,
You said you
Paycom
worked with
has nothing
Paycom.
to do with this. It's Liz from CIC when we're uploading the data in the GL.
Yeah.
Peter and I are the ones that are working on this, and that's where we can't balance it to a zero. It's Liz and us. Paycom
Okay,
does
so-
not build this stuff for you.
I know that, so why don't you ask the expert at Paycom, hey, we've been working on this for 3 years, and we haven't been able to get to work with all the people that work on it, so do you have anybody that could give us some advice?
Yeah, fix the GL. That's their advice.
Okay.
I mean, Liz,
Then
trust me.
why haven't we fixed the GL? Why haven't we fixed the GL?
Exactly. I'm not the one that fixes all this. I don't know how you guys got in your heads that the county clerk's office is the master of all this. One, we're doing way too much anyway. But the kicker is, you guys have responsibilities too. Whitley, it started saying in 2021 that we needed a new GL. That was 2021. They were saying that our GL was antiquated and we needed a new GL.
Okay. Do we have a
For the
template?
record, who was supposed to fix it? The treasurer? The board? Who's supposed to fix the GL if it's not you? Okay.
Who puts the budget in?
Do we need an opinion from our state's attorney on who's supposed to fix the GL? I don't understand.
I guess, yes, Derek, Stephen, what's the opinion?
Who puts the budget in?
We do.
I don't have.
That's where the GL starts.
That's not where it starts. It starts with the budget.
Madam Chair, can I respectfully request we move on?
All right. The second item under old business is the audit status. I just wanted to let everyone know, I think all the board members were copied and saw that Walker kind of started a string of emails about the audit status and what was going on with the comptroller's office. I had a good conversation with the comptroller's office last week, and they clarified a few things for me. They had been getting regular monthly reports from Scott, and they were very complimentary of those. I think, and I don't believe this is any one person's fault, I'm not blaming anybody, but at some point, the Walker started sending status reports, and a couple times I think the comptroller's office confused us themselves because they would ask for certain reports or updates and we would send them thinking that was satisfactory. And anyway, I think there may have been a short time period, maybe of a few months, where we stopped sending the regular monthly reports that Scott had been sending. The other thing that confused it is the auditors were sending them status reports. And we thought they were sufficient, but the end result is the comptroller's office wants regular monthly reports from us, and Scott has said he's agreed to pick them up again and do them. I agreed with the comptroller's office that they would have them by the 15th of every month, and they want them to come from us. That seems to be a significant thing to them. And they said it's fine if Scott sends them an email and says, please find attached a report from our auditing firm that shows the work that was done last month and the next steps. They're fine with that. They just want Scott or me or someone to initiate it and send it in. So Scott's going to start those again. And I do believe that they're trying to help us. June at the comptroller's office said that they can put us on the forced audit situation at any time. They have that authority. And one of the things that they show to anyone who reviews them, when they're asked and they say, well, why haven't you implemented a forced audit? They'll say, well, the county has letters of engagement with their auditing firm to complete these on a regular basis, and they're sending us monthly status reports. So they want to make sure they have those in their files for when they're reviewed and have to show that they're doing their work. The other thing that she and I talked about that I just want to make sure everyone is clear on going forward, the comptroller's office for fiscal year 25 is going to start assessing fees again to any local government that's late on their audits. And they have not been doing that, and I think they stopped doing it when COVID started. But they have not done it for several years. They are now starting it again, and it's not just us, it's statewide. Any local government that doesn't have their audits in on time will be assessed fees. Now, you can ask for a 60-day extension. Our auditors did submit the extension request. So we have through June 28th, I believe it is, of this calendar year, 26. Yeah, June 28th. Through that date is our extension, our 60-day extension. So the following day, the 29th, they will start assessing fees. I apologize for my cough and my voice, but I want to let people know this because this could very well be a spending, budget issue for us this fiscal year. She said they weren't sure exactly when they would start sending us a notice of the fees because they haven't done it in quite a few years. The staff aren't the same. They're not sure the procedures will be the same. She said we could start assessing it 3 weeks after the end date, or it could take us 3 months to get them out or something. So it sounds like it is going to hit late in this fiscal year. And it will be a double fee. And I don't think I wrote the words down or brought them with me, but when you read their stuff, they don't always talk about the audit being due, but there's another report due. Jim and Derek, maybe you remember the name of it.
AFR.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's,
Annual financial report.
they always come at the same time. Anyway, they fine us on both reports, the audit itself and the other report. So, and it doesn't sound to me from talking to her that there's anything we're going to be able to do to avoid that fee other than beg Sickich and Louderback to work faster. She believes you ought to be able to submit an audit every 3 to 6 months. I don't think Louderback agrees with that. So we're just going to have to do what we can to get materials submitted to them as timely as possible. And I believe that the department heads have been very good about that and are turning materials in. For 23, I think we were already ahead a little bit on that. So we'll just have to keep plugging away at it and keep in contact with them.
Is there any updated timeframe on number 23 audit?
Early fall.
Yeah, fall by the end of this year.
I knew they scared me with November, and then I'm thinking, well, if we get November, that means we will only get one audit next year. And when I do the math out, we're not going to be current until 2031. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's any way you can push them any harder.
I know, but we just need to be able to get 2 a year. Hope that gets us up in a shorter time frame.
Yeah. I did ask her if there's any way they can work on 25 at the same time they were doing the others, and she said the only way she could think you could do them at the same time is if you were absolutely sure of your fund balances for 24.
Yeah, it's those beginning balances, so they can't, I understand that you can't move on until you finish one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was that for that. For the chairman remarks, I just wanted to remind everybody that we moved the May date. So we'll be meeting the Tuesday after the fourth Monday, the day after Memorial Day. I also wanted to mention, I don't know if everyone's been in the loop on this, but I'm sure you all know Anita at Public Health is retiring June 1st. And the Health Department Board has entered into a contractual agreement with Adams County Health Department to provide management services for the Pike County Health Department. And the administrator there has been attending at least a couple of the health department meetings. I think Anita's set up some meetings where he's started to meet department heads and staff here. And it is planned that he will come in May. They will be here to kind of introduce himself to the board and ask any questions. We also have a representative from Two Rivers Regional Council who will be here in May for a brief presentation. They think they might be able to help us with applying for some grant funds while we're on the no-pay list. The last thing I wanted to mention, Andy, I've got concerns, and I've gotten a few inquiries about the animal shelter, and I was wondering if maybe we should schedule an ag meeting to, meet with the animal control staff. Based on the data that Derek shared at the finance meeting, the last two meetings, they are overspending their budget. And I think we need to talk with them about that. I'm also concerned, and these are what the inquiries have been about, some of the fundraising they're doing. And I'm sure it's all with the best intentions, and goodness knows they could use all the support they can get, and I don't want to do anything to discourage that. But sometimes their fundraising doesn't seem to be quite clear. I saw on Facebook a flyer, and I'll admit I'm starting to struggle with Facebook to know what's real and what's AI these days. But I saw a flyer that said the Methodist Church was having an event and the proceeds were going to the animal shelter. I don't know if that's true or not, but sometimes their fundraising doesn't seem to make it clear whether it's coming to the county, the money's coming to the county, or whether it's going to that not-for-profit that was set up to support the animal shelter activities. And people have made comments that, of course, if it comes to the county, it's not tax deductible. So I think we need to be clearer on that. The other thing is someone said that, they've started talking about leaving memorials and wills and wanting that to go specifically for the animal shelter, but not to general funds. And I've heard it said, well, if it's just going into the general funds, how do we know it's being used for the animal shelter? And we don't want that. But the general funds seem to be where we're paying all the animal shelter expenses out of. So I just think we need to take a fresh look at what's happening. I also saw on Facebook that they were advertising for another part-time position to work on weekends and holidays. And as I said, they're already overspending on their staff. So I'm rattling on, but would you be okay with scheduling an agriculture meeting? And
Yeah, I don't know. When,
I wondered on the Wednesday that we have all our meetings, since we've moved finance, I wondered if it was possible we could have something that afternoon. Because we'd have a gap between highway at 1:30 and then building and grounds at 6. but I can make anything work, so whatever's, gets you
That'd be
guys
on
there.
the, 20th.
Mark?
You'd be-
4 o'clock?
You want to do it a little sooner than that? 2:30? Would 2:30 work for you? Because we'll be at the highway at 1:30.
Yeah? You want to do it at the annex building?
Yeah, think so.
We could. It just doesn't allow for the other people on like the zoning and if they have any issues.
Oh, you mean at ag?
So, yeah, if we're gonna have an ag committee meeting, I need to check with them to see if they've got any issues they want to discuss with us.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be better at the government building. And we'll just let them come to us.
Okay.
And then if the supervisor of assessments got anything to discuss or zoning, then we'll be right there.
So the 20th at 2:30.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, Natalie, do you want to present the expenses and mileage?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, for April, your billboard report, your building and grounds committee, $5,982.22. Your public safety committee, $784,815.25. GIS didn't meet, the bills that were sent over were $4,260.32, and those will be approved with this report. The finance committee, $126,852.38. Special fund, $7,408.72, for a total of $929,318.89. And the county board meeting on 3/23, Joey Cobb and Mark Mountain were absent. John Foster to the Two Rivers meeting on 4/9, John Foster to the UCCI meeting on 4/14 and 4/15. GIS was canceled, highway 4/15, all boards were present, finance 4/15, administrator was absent, building grounds 4/15, administrator was absent, public safety 4/15, all boards were present, for a total of $2,091.64.
What do you say public safety was?
Public safety was.
Oh, it's typed in the report, or she took it off the February report.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's off the February report. I'm
So
not-
I would like to say, okay, so yes, totally my mistake. Guys, I really can't stress this enough. Please, if you can, get your minutes as soon as possible. This is not Tom's fault, but we were stuck getting board packets together at our board. So when we're stuck getting stuff together, we have to wait to compile all this information. And we know we had a week and a half in between the finance meetings, and different meetings. So please get us your reports as soon as you can. All right, what do you have in your total?
46,334.82.
46,334. Okay, no, these will be approved as amended, and then we'll send out the, thanks, Tom.
It only lowers it by 738.
I was-
Yeah, she said,
738.
Natalie said that GIS would be part of this.
that you have to approve, yes, the GIS bills along with your bill.
And I just want to clarify, our plan when we canceled GIS was to have the finance committee review those bills. And as, like within seconds after the meeting adjourned, Don remembered that we hadn't voted separately on them. But Don and Derek, who are members of both finance and GIS, reviewed each of the bills and signed off on them. So the total is in Natalie's report. So do I have a motion to approve? Tom, second by Mark.
I got a question.
Any discussion? Don?
We have rabies on here, 4174.45. Well, what was paid out, where does that money come from and what went out?
What do you mean?
Well, this is an expenditure. What was paid out on that $4,174?
Off the top of my head, John, I don't know. You have to ask the animal, like the animal shelter, so because it's a special fund, they're the ones that approve those bills directly. Actually, it should go to the ad committee, but anyway, they're the ones that will have those, so we can get you a list if you
Please.
wanna know. Yeah,
Because I've never seen any breakdown of what we're paying for.
yeah, you won't, because it's a special fund, it doesn't go to finance.
Why is it a special fund?
Because it's set up in statute as a special fund.
I just wondered why it was set up as a special fund.
Illinois legislators.
Okay, but yeah, I still like to know what we pay out. Okay, sorry, Rita, go.
It's okay.
I believe your revised total is $190,838.46.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Double check on that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Any comments from the press or visitors?
Yeah.
Jim?
You mentioned the health department. What services is Adams County taking over?
Management of the entire department,
Management of the entire department?
yes. That will be effective June 1st with Anita's retirement, but they are, I think the Adams County Administrator is trying to attend, be down here like one day a week for this transition period.
Okay, so does this board have any authority over that at all anymore?
We set the health department's budget.
Just like, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, then do I have a motion to adjourn? Tom, second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? We're adjourned at 9:12.
Natalie?
Yes.
Hey, Lance?
Okay.